I want to find the players that are buy low candidates. I want to look at what their involvement was and kind of how they looked on the field, how involved were they. So obviously in fantasy football, man, when you're making trades, you have context, you have what happened on the field, and then you have data, right? We just kind of try to use both to help support our decisions. And in this video, I looked at a couple things. I looked at expected fantasy points versus actual. So which guys should have scored a lot, but maybe didn't. And then that helps us find kind of like the disparity. And then I just wanted to look at their involvement. Are they getting rushing attempts? Are they getting enough usage, snaps, all that kind of stuff? First name on this list is going to be Jonathan Taylor. Listen, man, beginning of the game, he was looking like he was about to have a 30-point fantasy day. I know this one is easy. I know a lot of people probably won't be selling Jonathan Taylor, but you never know, man. You find that right owner who just lost their week one. They're pissed off. They're overreacting. You might be able to get JT from them. So he played 100% of the snaps when it was still kind of a tight game. He gets banged up. He gets like a neck injury. And then the team decides to just hold him out. They're like, we don't want to risk it. We don't want him to get further injured. We already got this game in the bag. Let's take him out. DJ Giddens comes in, also looks pretty good. Kind of a testament that this offensive line is going to be very competent, very special. Now, Jonathan Taylor had 18.9 expected fantasy points with 12.8 actual PPR points. So keep in mind that that is with Daniel Jones getting 2 rushing touchdowns. So imagine if those touchdowns go to Taylor. We're talking about potentially a 30-point game for Jonathan Taylor, man. And the thing that I want to hone in on here, man, is the fact that he got 3 targets, bro. 3 receptions for 27 yards. Now, did I miss a fucking memo? Did I miss the memo that Jonathan Taylor is going to start getting catches now? He's going to be a 100% player now in this offense. I mean, holy shit, man. If I would have known that going into the season, maybe that's our fault. We didn't do the due diligence. We didn't look at kind of like training camp reports well enough, I guess. But if he's going to be this involved as like a bona fide, legit 3-down workhorse, Jonathan Taylor, man, the sky's the limit. He was the RB1 already a couple seasons ago, and that was with like no catches, no targets. He was maybe Miami is just that bad, and Daniel Jones reverts to the, wet paper bag, heart in a bottle that we've seen him be in the past. But you never know, man. I think Jonathan Taylor is one of my favorite buy low candidates. Look, man, if you're in a league with blacksmiths, dads, people that just don't pay attention to fantasy football, you can probably trade someone like Kyron Williams straight up for him because Kyron did outscore him, right? Maybe you can even flip like a Javonte Williams plus like a Keenan Allen, take one of those like 2-for-1 trades, 2 guys that performed really well in week 1 that maybe you don't have a lot of faith in. See if you can move up to Jonathan Taylor, dude, because I think he's going to be a league winning running back the rest of the season. We're talking about a guy that can potentially hit that 20 PPR points per game mark, especially if they're not blowing teams out, right? If DJ Giddens didn't play that second half, if those rushing touchdowns didn't go to Daniel Jones, you're talking about a 30-point week, man, yet again. So next player is going to be Chuba Hubbard. Now listen, the narrative about Chuba Hubbard all offseason, the reason he was like a 4th-round pick, sometimes even a 5th-round pick, was that Rico Dowdle was going to be a 3rd-down back. He's going to be a pass-catching back. He's going to take work from him. Chuba was not going to get the same workload, the workhorse role that he once had. I went to Summer Sports. I pulled up some advanced stats. I wanted to look at who was the leading rusher when trailing. And little do you know, dude, Chuba Hubbard popped up top of the list, man, ahead of Josh Allen, Jalen Warren, and Christian McCaffrey. 15 of his rush attempts came when they were trailing. And that is, I mean, to be fair, that was pretty much the entire game. They were trailing from like the beginning. But the fact that he still remained involved, he still remained the guy that was inside. Now, his EPA wasn't great. They were losing the game. The offense really couldn't do much. They were kind of stuffing the box on him. But we like the involvement. We like the fact that he didn't lose so much work. Rico Dowdle did get his 3rd downs. He did get some pass catching work. He gets obviously the receiving touchdown at the end of the game to kind of save our fantasy day. But so he was 6th in total opportunities, 17.9 PPR points, 15.1 expected. So he kind of outproduced himself actually. Now that's to be expected. They're losing the game. So his expected fantasy points aren't going to be that high. But the fact that he exceeded them, I think it's a good sign. I think it's a good signal. So this kind of answers my question, man. Like, is he going to be utilized as a workhorse even in negative game scripts? That was kind of the concern, right? So in my main league, I was kind of forced into 0 RB, and he was my RB1. He was the last guy that was available in the 3rd round to me, dude. It's a keeper league, so it's kind of funky, but I go with Chuba Hubbard over James Conner, over David Montgomery. I go with Chuba Hubbard. I know that's kind of a shot in the dark. I think James Conner's a lot more of a safe pick. He's done it for a lot more seasons. I went with Chuba, and I had concerns, man. Since the draft, between the draft and now, I was worried. I was worried that he was going to lose so much work and that week 1 would come around and Rico Dowdle would be in the game way too much. So I was concerned, but this kind of quelled my fears. This allows me to breathe a little. And I think, all right, I have a bona fide workhorse running back now. Now I will say, man, the concerns about Chuba are obviously the offense. Is the offense going to be better? Can they be slightly more competent? And I think they can be. I think Bryce Young, he looked good at the end of last year. It could have been a mirage. Now, it could have been phantom production from Bryce Young. Maybe it was the end of the year. Not a lot of teams were really trying, but I still think he looked good. He was definitely making some really nice throws. He has a nice receiving core now. I think Bryce Young will be better. I think the Panthers will be better. They're not going to be in such negative game scripts. It was just such a weird game, bro. I think like their preseason woes kind of carried over into week 1. The offense just could not get anything done. They had a lot of turnovers that just stalled some drives. I think there are brighter days ahead. I think Chuba Hubbard is a guy that I would go buy right now because I do think a lot of owners are probably wanting to sell him. That's why I don't think he's necessarily a buy low at the moment. I think he's like buy at the same price that you drafted him at, right? Next player is going to be RJ Harvey. I think he's somebody that I'd only go out and try to buy if I'm feeling good. If I'm feeling confident in my team, I have some depth, I can maybe afford to give up like a piece or two to get RJ Harvey, maybe in like a combo deal. He goes 6 for 70 in week 1, 7.4 fantasy points. He showed off a lot, man. Look, as soon as J.K. Dobbins was named the starter, I think we knew this was what the situation was going to be, man. We drafted him with 2 hopes. First is he gets some early down work, kind of shows his explosiveness. Maybe he's a flex play early on in the season. The second hope is that we want him to slowly take over for J.K. Dobbins, right? We knew J.K. Dobbins would be the early down guy. He'd be the early season guy. The hope was that RJ Harvey by like week 4, week 5, week 6, whatever, maybe even the bye week, he would take over this backfield and he'd be like a true league winner at the end of the season. That's kind of why you draft RJ Harvey, for that late season upside, right? Maybe usability early, late season league winner status late. So I think the thesis here is that we want to buy Harvey from a manager who's not willing to wait for him. Maybe the manager of RJ Harvey lost in week 1. Maybe they started him, he was maybe their RB2, they started him and he just didn't help them enough. Maybe they lost. I think he looked good enough. He busts off this long 50-yard run. He gets caught from behind. I think he passes the smell test for us. Sean Payton can't keep this genie in the bottle for long. I think he's going to continue getting him more and more involved, getting him up to speed. I mean, the same thing happened with Alvin Kamara his rookie season. Wasn't really involved as a rusher. Started getting reception, started being very productive, and had one of the better rookie seasons, right? So I think that same kind of outlook can be the case for RJ Harvey. Try to make it like a package deal, like a 2 for 2, where you can get RJ Harvey as seemingly a throw-in, where you're maybe downgrading at running back a little. I think it's very much worth it if you're in position to kind of wait for him. You got to just have the patience. You got to have a deep team. And now the last player on this list is Jordan Mason. He goes 15 for 68, 4.53 yards per carry, only gets 1 target, 1 reception for 7, but that's never going to be his game. Now, Jordan Mason led Aaron Jones in snaps, so 30 to 28, and opportunities as well, so 16 to 11. Aaron Jones got 0 touches inside the opponent 20. So inside the red zone, Aaron Jones had 0 touches. It was all Jordan Mason, and that's in a negative game script. Keep in mind, they were losing the game. You'd expect the third down back like Aaron Jones to be way more involved, way more in the game, right? When they're losing, when they're in negative game script. Here's a tweet from Jacob Gibbs. 15 of 23 rush attempts went to Jordan Mason, 57% snap rate compared to 47 for Aaron Jones, and then 100% snap rate in the red zone, as I mentioned. And dude, this is another crazy one, man. 42 of 45 rushing yards were after initial contact. So it's pretty much wheels up, man. Listen, he didn't produce very much. He only had like 8 fantasy points. He's only going to really help us on the ground. He's maybe going to be the goal line guy. He doesn't get a touchdown, but he gets the volume. So we kind of love those types of players when it comes to buy low opportunities. Advanced metrics, everything was good. He got a lot of attempts, right? So like 16 opportunities. That's perfectly fine in that like RB2, RB3 range. A dude with upside, man. If Aaron Jones were to go down and he just becomes the full-time guy, I think he's going to be very fantastic. I think he has so much contingent upside in the event of an injury. So I don't know, man. I just think Jordan, this is going to be like the last chance to buy Jordan Mason at his current price, where he hasn't done much yet. There's a lot of volume. And again, man, if somebody like lost in week 1, maybe Jordan Mason didn't really help them. He only got 8 fantasy points. Maybe they have a ton of running backs and they're willing to get rid of him. Maybe he was like their 4th, 5th running back that they drafted. Like I know a guy in one of my leagues. He's got every running back, bro. He's got Dobbins, Krosky Merritt, Jordan Mason, fucking Jonathan Taylor. He's got everyone, dude. So Jordan Mason's somebody that's just kind of chilling at the end of his bench. I don't know if he's ever going to feel super good about starting him. He's weak at wide receiver. I have quite a lot of wide receivers. That's the type of dude I'd like to go out there and get. You can trade like a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 for him. Maybe you'd be able to get that done again from a guy who has a lot of running backs. So those are the 4 names, man. 4 running backs. I did a bunch of data research. I have like expected fantasy charts. I have, advanced metrics. It's all in the Discord, fully for free. You just have to join it. I posted them in the Discord. It's a dope little community. It's growing. There's a lot of cool banter and a lot of cool ball talk in the Discord. So make sure you guys go and join that. That does it for this video, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one. We will be talking about wide receivers that are trade targets. So I'll catch you guys in that video. Peace.